If you have followed my channel for a while now, you know that on this channel we mostly cover Call of Duty. And the one type of video that I haven't made revolving around Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is a review. Now, the reasoning for that is because I find with a game like Call of Duty or any other big game like this, it doesn't just take a week or a day or even a month to decide your final thoughts on a video game. With games like this, sometimes it takes a year to come up with your final opinion on it, because a lot of the time with video games like this, they are updated, changed, and the original game that is released is completely different than the game a year later. However, today I am making a video talking about the one thing that no one is talking about with Black Ops 4, and it's exactly the opposite of what I just said: the lack of change that has happened to Black Ops 4. Now, before the video starts, I just wanted to get it out of the way and let you guys know that later today at about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be streaming some Call of Duty Black Ops 4. We're going to be playing some multiplayer, and as always, we are going to be doing an open lobby, which means that you guys actually get the opportunity to play with me. So if you've never checked out my stream before, or you want to play some Call of Duty with me, it'll be the first link down in the description, and hopefully I'll see you there around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I go all the way till midnight, so hopefully I see you later tonight. Now, I want to start this by saying two things. First of all, I don't often make this ranty of videos complaining about things, simply because I like to be a generally positive person, especially when it comes to video games. The second thing is, as far as Black Ops 4 goes, it's absolutely one of my favorite Call of Duty games ever. I really love the multiplayer, and Blackout is a ton of fun. But I'm worried for the game, and that is why I'm making this video. I'm worried it's going down a road that it's not going to be able to recover from. So that is why I wanted to make this video and address a massive issue that's currently going on in the game. And honestly, it's not the fact that the Treyarch team is making bad decisions or adding terrible things into the game. It's the fact that they, aren't doing anything at all for the game. Now, I know that they've recently updated armor, concussions, and made some changes to Blackout, but if we look at multiplayer, there has been no updates for multiplayer. The specialist characters haven't been touched, the 9-bang is still incredibly overpowered, and weapons that have been overpowered since the launch of the game are exactly that. They are still overpowered. The Titan, the Maddox, and the Spitfire are all still the best guns in the game and haven't been touched for the last 3 months. And I know this sounds bad, but as far as today's gaming climate, not having an update for a game mode for 2 to 3 months is simply not acceptable. And on top of that, they are not keeping promises that they have said were going to be coming to the game. So let's start there. Now, a lot of people are going to argue that Treyarch is keeping their promises, they are doing exactly what they say, but let me explain myself. So, in December, they announced that the two things coming in January were going to be mastery camos for Blackout and Zombies, and finally, League Play. Now, League Play didn't end up happening in January, but rather is coming in February, which I'm not going to lie, I'm okay with. It's a little bit delayed, but whatever, that's good. That's actually not what I'm talking about. One thing that a lot of people don't remember is that Black Ops 4 is missing a crucial part of really any of the previous Black Ops games: a combat record and leaderboards. Now, what a lot of people don't remember is that in one of the original updates, Treyarch said that these were going to be added, and they added a date to it. Let me show you. So here's what the update said. Combat record. As with leaderboards, we are planning on bringing combat record online in an update next week. We are still tracking your stats behind the scenes, so no worries there. That update came out in November. They said that combat record would be added next week. Well, it's now February. Next week has come and gone. Where is the combat record and where is the leaderboard? It's not in game. Now, the one thing I do have to mention when it comes to multiplayer is that a lot of people are placing the blame on David Vonderhaar, who used to be the head of multiplayer at Treyarch. This year, he is not. He is the guy working on Blackout. That's his baby. He is no longer the prodigal son of multiplayer. Now, I believe that one of the main guys working on multiplayer is Tony Flame, a guy who's been kind of front and center for a while now, but he is the multiplayer guy. And as far as a PR guy, he is relatively quiet. He doesn't say much, he doesn't tweet much, not like Vonderhaar does. And I think that's part of the problem, is the guy working on the things isn't nearly as vocal. Now, at the same time, that is still not an excuse for not having a multiplayer update for upwards of 2 months. Now, some people are going to argue and say that there have been multiplayer updates, but as we know, those updates have been bug fixes and trying to patch problems that are in the game. They weren't changing anything as far as game modes, weapons, specialist characters, or anything like that goes. Now, the reason why I'm making this today is that there was an update in Black Ops 4 today that added no new game modes and nothing new to the black market. On top of that, there were no changes to multiplayer or blackout. In other words, they did nothing to update the game today. And it was interesting, when I was streaming last night, I had 3 separate people come into the live stream and say the same thing. They are no longer playing Black Ops 4 because multiplayer has had no new content. And it's sad because I actually agree with them, and I don't blame them for stopping playing the game because really nothing has changed. As far as game modes go, they have added 2 new game modes since launch. Blackjack's gun game, which is great, and Safeguard, which is also great. But really, that's it. And some may argue that they've added Chaos, Mosh Pit, they've added Endurance game modes, but those are the same old game modes. They're your dominations, they're your team deathmatch, they're your kill confirms. They just have different score limits and different times. Other than that, there hasn't been new game modes. There's been no infected. There's been no prop hunt. There's been no additions to the game that are going to add longevity to it. Then the way that they're running their model for DLC is that they only add things every 70 days, as we saw with Operation Absolute Zero, which is fine for adding specialist characters and weapons, but other than that, they are not adding anything to the game, and I think that that is the inherent problem with the Black Ops Pass. Now, a lot of people complained about the Black Ops Pass for several reasons when it was launched. One of the main ones was that you had to buy the entire pass to get the content. You couldn't buy individual maps, individual map packs, and people were frustrated because of that, and I think rightfully so. But my problem with the Black Ops Pass is that it's not enough content to keep the game fresh. They are still following their old season pass model from previous games where they add the certain amount of maps, the certain amount of game modes, the certain amount of updates throughout the life cycle of that Call of Duty game. And in a climate where they're competing against Fortnite and, as of yesterday, Apex Legends, which are both free-to-play games and seem to be updating the game weekly, if not more, Black Ops simply can't compete. So the big problem I'm trying to get across here is, quite honestly, I think more people are playing multiplayer than Blackout and Black Ops 4. And I don't think Activision or Treyarch saw that coming. And because of that, there has been next to no updates for multiplayer. It seems like multiplayer is the bastard child of the Black Ops universe right now, and it sucks. Even Zombies, which their community is complaining too, has been getting more updates with gauntlets and patches and fixes, whereas multiplayer is just kind of being left behind, hitchhiking on the road, waiting for someone to pick it up. And it's sad to see, because I think there's such a good base for the Black Ops 4 multiplayer. It plays well, and I think people really like it, but because of the lack of updates, people are falling off the train and forgetting about it. And that's sad. I really don't want to see this multiplayer left behind like it is being. So those are my thoughts on multiplayer, but I also have some opinions on Blackout too. Because quite honestly, Blackout's being updated much more than multiplayer, but I still think that it's not enough. The reason why I say that is because Blackout is directly competing with Fortnite, and now it's directly competing with Apex Legends. Both free-to-play games in which Fortnite is getting new updates to their map, new weapons, and other new items weekly, if not bi-weekly. They add new areas to the map, they add new weapons, they change the map, whereas Call of Duty is just sitting there, and in their defense, they are updating the balance. They are changing the way weapons work inside it, armor, concussions, that kind of stuff, but they're not changing the way the game is played in total. They're not adding new updates to the map, they are not adding extra weapons, new ways to play the game. They have once. They've added the ARAV and they have added Hijacked, but once again, that goes with the model of being updated every 70 days compared to Fortnite's model where it's nearly every 7 days. Fortnite is going to get 10 updates before Blackout gets 1. And that is why I believe Blackout just simply can't compete with Fortnite. If they want to, they're going to have to update that model and have more and more and more updates. Just to give you an idea of what I mean though here, a fan actually made a concept map for some locations he would like to see added to the Blackout map. And honestly, this is a really cool thing he made here. I wish they actually did this. Now, as far as what he added here, he added 5 new locations: Cove, Hazard, Summit, Castle, and Meltdown. 5 great ideas for locations in Black Ops 4. However, if they stick with their current content model where they're only adding things to Blackout every 70 days, it would take over 350 days to add these 5 new areas, which is almost a year. Modern Warfare 4, or whatever the next Call of Duty game, will be out by then, and a lot of people will have moved on. So, they need to start adding things faster, but it doesn't seem like they are going to. Recently, David Vonderhaar has tweeted saying that he is getting things ready for Season 3 of Blackout, which is great that Season 3 is coming in the next 10 days or so, but the problem with the Blackout seasons is that they only add something right at the beginning. They don't keep it updated all the way through with different locations being added, with different events. There's just the one thing. Now, I will give them this. In Season 2, they added 2 limited time events, Ambush and Down But Not Out. Those were great, but there's only 2 of them. On top of that, in Season 2, they added Hijacked and the ARAV. They also introduced 2 new weapons, the SWAT, the Daemon, and I guess the new pistol, the Cap 45. So essentially, what we got there is 2 game modes, 1 addition to the map, 3 weapons, and 1 vehicle. Which compared to Fortnite isn't very much. The way Fortnite does things is almost every single week, a couple of their locations change how they look, how they play, they add new weapons, and that happens weekly, not every 70 days. So I think you get the point I'm getting at. Call of Duty, Blackout, and Multiplayer need more frequent updates and meatier updates as well. Well, actually, Multiplayer just needs updates in general. They haven't got one in a while. Like we said earlier in the video, Multiplayer really does need some love. Now, whether that's going to happen, I don't know. But if Blackout and Black Ops 4 Multiplayer end up dwindling, I think we know the answer as to why. But hey, that's just my opinion. If you disagree with me, feel free to let me know what you think down in the comments. If you agree, you can also let me know down in the comments. But what I would really love is if you enjoyed the video, since I made it a lot about my opinion. Of course, there's going to be a lot of dislikes, so I would really appreciate it if you could also hit that like button. But if you're new to the channel and like what you see and want to stay up to date on all of my content, the best way to do so is hit that subscribe button and make sure you have notifications turned on. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.
Listen.